How you doing? Today we're going to talk about Hemohim, which is a product made by Atomy. I'm not going to go through a whole bunch of specs and stuff like that. I'm really just going to talk about what Hemohim is and my experience with it. So first thing is Hemohim, this big old box you get here. This box has 10 of these little boxes inside that have 6 packets each. All right, so that's 60 of these. It's generally going to be considered to be a 60-day supply. If I open one of these up here, this little kind of foil packet here, it's got a little tear off up here. You can just rip it off, and then the kind of a syrupy consistency comes out. It's pretty sweet. It's got a different kind of a taste. It's not something like you would get from a lot of American-made stuff that would just be some grape flavor, or what passes for grape flavor or something like that. Because it's from Korea, South Korea, and it's because it's got Asian ingredients and things in there. It's more of got some of that flavor in there. So if you're not used to that, it's a little funny. It's not bad, but it's different. After a while though, you get used to them. I actually like this stuff. And all you do is you just tear the pack off and you just start squeezing it up, and you just eat it right out. In the morning or in the evening. It's best done on an empty stomach, so I have a tendency to do this in the morning. If I feel like I need more, I'll do one first thing in the morning and then one right before I go to sleep, because it's generally when I don't have anything in my stomach yet, and when I wake up I generally don't eat something for at least a good 20 or 30 minutes anyway, because I'm just busy doing other things, except maybe drinking coffee. I don't think that's a problem. So what is Hemohim? What does it do? It's got a bunch of stuff in it that boosts your immune system and stuff with certain blood cells that help to fight infection. It helps to strengthen the production of those cells and things like that. I think at the end of this, we'll put some links in the video where you can go and read more in depth about the science behind all of this stuff. Atomy is a conglomeration of some kind of atomic research, government atomic research entity. There's usually a brochure, kind of a sheet that comes with this, although mine's not in here right now. It's fine. And then also what they're doing is they're marketing these now. So because it's strengthening your immune system, it does, for me, it has helped me to really avoid getting sick. I travel a lot. I'm on planes, I'm meeting people, I'm shaking hands, I'm in all kinds of office buildings and waiting areas in airports and stuff where people are sneezing and touching things and each other. Shake your hands, and you know how many times a person touches their face during the course of a day? It's a lot more than you might think. So with that being said, I'm exposed fairly regularly to all kinds of germs, basically. Probably more so than most people, mainly because of the traveling aspect. So I could usually look forward to coming down and feeling under the weather once a month or so, and getting sick probably 4 or 5 times in a year. And generally, you know, a cold lasts, I think, for a middle-aged adult like myself, about a week. Flus can last a few days, can be quite debilitating. I've been taking this now for well over a year, probably about a year and 6 months, or pretty close to that. I have only gotten sick since then maybe 3 times. And the nice thing about getting sick less is also when I do get sick, I am not as sick. I find that I tend to beat the worst symptoms within about a day, and I get recovered much more quickly. Colds might linger slightly longer than a flu, but again, I can usually beat the worst symptoms, you know, in a day or two, start a faster recovery. And part of that too is when you do have things like colds, the recovery periods can be fairly long if you have a lot of mucus production. All that's getting stuck down here in congestion, and you're coughing for days, weeks to get all that stuff out. Even if you're taking those over-the-counter expectorant medications and things like that. So with me, I don't have that problem so much. The other big thing that I find has really helped me with is allergies. I've had allergies since I was 5, so I've had them a very long time, over 40 years. Not to date myself. And a couple things about my allergies: it's mainly pollens, certain tree pollens, certain grasses, a few other factors that I don't really remember anymore, because the big thing for me is the pollen. And typically in the spring, when you get the big pollen dust coating everything, that's usually when I start loading up on 2 or 3 over-the-counter medications, in addition to 1, maybe 2 prescription, which start to get quite expensive. And it's a little ritual to do this up my nose and take these pills and all those kinds of things, right? I don't take any of that stuff anymore. On the one hand, I found a lot of it to be fairly ineffective. The allergy medicines that I kind of grew up with that don't exist anymore, or require you to purchase with a government issued photo ID in small quantities, those are the ones that seem to be fairly effective for me, but only so much. And since then, all the newer stuff just doesn't really seem to help much. Even the ones that are a longer maintenance, 1 or 2 squirts up the nose every day, that kind of a thing. They help, but not a whole lot. Hemohim, on the other hand, and it's because it's working with your immune system, right? And that's one of the things that allergies are triggering. It's your immune system. We're talking about innocuous things like pollens. They're not a danger to us. They're not going to kill us. And a lot of people don't have a problem with them. But those of us who have an allergic reaction to them, it's triggering an immune system response to those things. Of course, you can go Google and read all about that kind of stuff on WebMD and many other places, reputable places, about how allergies work. The point is, for those of us who suffer from them, it can make us quite miserable. The added risk to allergies, though, is that for those of us who have asthma, allergies can often, if they're working with a respiratory type of thing, not a skin reaction, can also trigger asthma attacks, which can be quite dangerous, even life-threatening, for those of us that get them more severely, or apparently as you get older, it's more of a thing. So a doctor told me. So as a result of using the Hemohim, I have eschewed using altogether all of those over-the-counter and prescription allergy medicines. And the savings that I've gotten for those have paid for the Hemohim that I take. I feel much better. A bit of an energy boost to these. I don't take naps daily like I used to, and I'm getting the same amount of sleep, probably less really, than I was a couple of years ago. And yeah, so that's been my experience with it. As always, we should point out that this is not, a medication. It's just a supplement, but it's got the right kind of nutrients in it that help. I'm just kind of looking here, see if there's anything else I want to mention real quick. Colmar is the other company that joined together with Korea Atomic Energy Research Institute to be able to market these things that were really developed by government institutions. The main thing about this was that they were developing a supplement that could really help with their nuclear scientists, and the fact that they were being exposed to nasty things all the time, to help improve their health. So pretty cool stuff. I'd recommend trying it out. I would say also, when I made the transition, that I was continuing with the over-counter stuff for about a month or so. And when I ran out, I just didn't get more. And I figured, well, we'll try it out and see how it goes. It's been pretty good so far. I will say that there have been a couple of days here and there when I think the pollen count's been very high, very, very high. And I will still produce a little extra mucus and runny nose and that kind of stuff during those moments, but it's nowhere near the severity that I used to have, even when I was taking medication. Just blow my nose a little more frequently, maybe take a nice hot shower and clear out a little bit. I'm pretty much fine. So I do recommend that those of you who suffer from frequent illness, those of you who suffer from allergies, particularly if those are things that trigger asthma, give this thing a shot.